Hey Virgo, welcome back to your channel. Um, okay, so this one is tender and significant, and I need you to really tune in because someone in your world has been doing internal work you're not seeing. They've been having conversations with themselves about you, about what you mean to them, about where this is going, and they've reached a conclusion. They're done with ambiguity, done with seeing where it goes, done with keeping things casual when what they feel is anything but. So settle in, get comfortable, and let's talk about what happens when someone decides they're ready to claim you publicly, officially, permanently. This is big. So let's begin. Someone who's been careful, measured, maybe even guarded about how they show up with you is about to drop all of that and make their intentions crystal clear. And I don't mean through vague hints or subtle shifts in behavior. I mean through actual words, actual commitment, actual declaration that removes all ambiguity about what you are to them and what they want you to become. This is the conversation you might have been waiting for, or the conversation you didn't know was coming. When I say make it official, I'm talking about whatever official means in context of your specific connection. For some of you, this is literal proposal ring, question, lifelong commitment. For others, it's I want to be your partner after months of casual dating. For others, still, it's let's move in together, or I'm deleting the apps, or I want you to meet my family. The specific form matters less than the energy behind it, which is decisiveness. This person is done testing the waters, done keeping options open, done operating in the gray area between casual and committed. They've made decision, and that decision is you. But here's what makes this significant. They didn't arrive at this decision lightly. This isn't impulsive or premature or based on infatuation that's going to fade when reality sets in. This is considered, thought through, arrived at after they've seen you at your best and your worst, after they've observed how you handle stress and conflict and normal life, after they've had time to determine whether what they feel is sustainable or just initial chemistry. Some people rush to commitment before they actually know someone. They fall in love with idea, with potential, with fantasy version they've constructed from limited data. Then reality arrives and reveals all the incompatibilities they were too enchanted to notice, and the commitment crumbles because it was built on insufficient foundation. But this person has done their homework. They've watched you, studied you, tested compatibility in ways you might not have consciously registered. And they've determined that, yes, you're not just exciting or attractive or fun to be around, you're sustainable. You're someone they can build with, someone they want to build with, someone they're willing to make themselves vulnerable to by declaring intention publicly. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider, is there someone in your life whose energy toward you has shifted recently from casual to more serious, even if they haven't said anything explicit yet? Maybe you've noticed them paying more attention to your preferences, your needs, what matters to you. Maybe they've been integrating you more into their life, introducing you to important people, including you in future plans, consulting you on decisions that don't technically require your input. Maybe they've been more consistent, more present, more invested in ways that feel different than a few months ago. Those aren't random changes. Those are someone preparing ground for commitment. Those are someone building foundation before they make the ask, making sure the structure can support what they're about to construct on top of it. Or maybe there's been distance recently that confused you. They pulled back slightly, became less available, seemed preoccupied in ways that made you wonder if they were losing interest. But what if that wasn't disinterest? What if that was them creating space to think clearly about what they actually want? Some people need distance to gain clarity. They can't figure out how they feel while they're in the intensity of constant contact. They need to step back, miss you, notice how your absence affects them, use that information to determine whether what they feel is real or just habit or convenience. And if they pulled back and they're coming back with intention to make it official, that distance was necessary part of their process. It wasn't rejection, it was recalibration. And what they recalibrated to is certainty about wanting you. This reflection invites you to consider, has someone's recent distance actually been them getting clear rather than losing interest? There's something specific about what ready means in this context. And it's worth examining because readiness isn't just about time elapsed or boxes checked. Someone can date you for years and never be ready. Someone else can know within months that you're the person they want to commit to. Readiness isn't about duration, it's about internal state. This person has reached internal state where commitment feels right instead of scary, where choosing you doesn't feel like closing doors but like walking through the right door, where the idea of being unavailable to others doesn't create panic but relief because they're genuinely not interested in others anymore. For some people, reaching that state requires eliminating fear of missing out. They had to explore, date around, see what else was available before they could fully appreciate what you specifically bring. And now they've done that exploration actually or hypothetically and determined that what you offer is exactly what they want. That might sting if you've been ready for commitment longer than they have. Might feel like you were option among many rather than obvious choice from beginning. But their process doesn't diminish your value, it just means they needed more data than you did to reach same conclusion. Or reaching readiness required them to heal something first. Maybe they came out of previous relationship damaged, guarded, not emotionally available for real connection. And they couldn't commit to you properly until they'd processed that damage, integrated those lessons, rebuilt their capacity to trust and be vulnerable. If that's the case, their readiness now is actually gift. It means you're getting version of them that's prepared to show up properly instead of version that would have sabotaged what you're building because they weren't healed enough to handle it. Or readiness required them to achieve certain level of stability first, financial, professional, personal. They needed to feel like they had something to offer, like they were coming to relationship as whole person rather than as project requiring fixing. And now they've reached that stability and they're ready to share it with you. Different people have different prerequisites for commitment. Understanding theirs helps you not take the timing personally when it actually has very little to do with you and everything to do with their internal journey. This reflection invites you to consider, what internal work have you done that makes you more ready for commitment now than you were a year ago? Let me describe what the actual moment might look like when they make it official, because the fantasy version and the reality version are often quite different and both are valid. In fantasy, It's grand gesture, perfect setting, perfect words, perfect execution that looks like movie scene. Everything planned, nothing left to chance, romance dialed to maximum. And sometimes reality matches fantasy. Sometimes they do plan elaborate proposal or perfectly timed conversation in beautiful location with all the romantic elements you've imagined. But more often, reality is messier and somehow more meaningful because of the mess. It's them blurting it out in your kitchen over coffee because they can't hold it in anymore. It's them saying, I want this to be real in the middle of mundane evening doing nothing special because mundane evening made them realize they want every evening with you, special or not. It's them getting nervous and stumbling over words they practice but can't remember now that they're actually trying to say them. It's them crying unexpectedly because saying it out loud makes it real in ways that thinking about it didn't. The imperfect moments often carry more weight than perfect ones because they're real, they're unscripted, they're someone's actual feelings overwhelming their ability to perform composure. And if you're someone who values authenticity over performance, those messy moments might actually be exactly what you need. Some people get so attached to how commitment should happen that they miss or undervalue how it actually happens. They're waiting for grand gesture and they dismiss the quiet declaration. They're expecting ring and they overlook the I love you and I want to build life with you that comes without jewelry but with complete sincerity. Don't miss your moment because it doesn't match your fantasy of how the moment should look. The substance matters infinitely more than the style. What they're saying matters more than how they're saying it. The intention matters more than the execution. This reflection invites you to consider, would you rather have perfectly executed proposal with less genuine feeling or messy, sincere declaration with total authenticity? There's something important about what you need to consider before you respond to their offer to make it official, because your yes or no or not yet isn't just about whether you care about them. It's about whether you're ready for what commitment actually requires, not just what it promises. Commitment sounds wonderful in concept, security, partnership, someone choosing you, building future together. But commitment also means sacrifice, means compromise, means your individual life becoming shared life in ways that require constant negotiation, means someone else's needs and preferences and feelings becoming factors in every decision you make. Some people love the idea of commitment but struggle with the reality of it. They want the security without the sacrifice, the partnership without the compromise, the we without releasing any of the I. And if that's where you are, if you're not actually ready to share your life in all the uncomfortable ways, sharing life requires, then saying yes to commitment before you're ready does disservice to both of you. Better to say not yet and mean it than say yes and resent what yes actually entails. Or maybe the question is whether this person is who you want to commit to, not just whether you want commitment generally. Because wanting partnership doesn't mean you should accept partnership with anyone who offers the specific person matters as much as the general concept. Do they meet you where you actually need to be met? Do they challenge you to grow while also accepting you as you are? Do they handle conflict in ways you can live with? Do they share enough of your values that you're building toward compatible vision of future? Do they make you feel more yourself rather than less? These aren't romantic questions, they're practical ones. And answering them honestly before you commit is how you avoid committing to wrong person just because commitment is what you wanted and they happen to offer it. Some people say yes to proposals from people they have serious doubts about because they're so relieved someone finally wants to commit that they override their reservations. Then they spend years in marriages trying to fix fundamental incompatibilities that were obvious before the commitment, but that they talked themselves out of seeing. Don't do that. If they're ready and you're not sure, you're allowed to say you need time. You're allowed to say you need to see more before you can commit fully. You're allowed to have standards and requirements and non negotiables that need to be met before you say yes. Their readiness doesn't obligate your readiness. You can honor their courage in asking without betraying yourself by agreeing before you're certain. This reflection invites you to consider, if someone asked you to commit today, do you already know your answer, or would you need time to decide? Let me address what happens after you say yes, because the commitment conversation isn't ending, it's beginning. Making it official doesn't mean the work is done. It means different work begins. Harder work in some ways, but work that builds something instead of just exploring possibility. After you commit, you have to actually be in committed relationship, which sounds obvious but requires skills many people haven't developed, requires communication beyond what dating requires vulnerability beyond what casual requires showing up consistently even when you don't feel like it, even when other things seem more appealing, even when the initial excitement fades into comfortable routine. Some people are great at pursuit but terrible at maintenance. They can chase, seduce, win someone over, but once they've won, they don't know how to keep building. They coast on the commitment itself instead of continuing to invest in the relationship, and the relationship deteriorates from neglect disguised as security. If the person making it official with you is that type, the commitment will feel good initially but unsatisfying long term. You'll have the title without the substance, the label without the actual partnership. But if there's someone who understands that commitment is beginning, not ending, who knows that relationship requires constant cultivation, not just initial planting, who's prepared to keep choosing you actively instead of just having chosen you once, then what you're building has real potential for sustainability. Watch how they show up in the weeks and months after commitment. Are they still investing, still curious about you, still making effort, still treating relationship as living thing that needs tending? Or did they relax into taking you for granted now that you're theirs? That will tell you whether the commitment was genuine partnership or just them securing something they wanted without understanding what keeping it requires. You remain in complete control of whether you accept their offer to make it official. You can say yes enthusiastically, yes with conditions, not yet, or no. All valid, all your right, all honored, regardless of what you choose. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has brought someone specific to mind, someone you're wondering about, someone you're hoping this describes, or someone you're dreading this might be because you're not sure you feel the same way they might feel. Whatever you're feeling, honor it, take what resonates, softly release the rest, trust yourself. Before we close, I want to ask you something. When someone wants to make it official with you, what matters more, how long you've known them or how deeply you've connected in whatever time you've had? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And this, have you ever said yes to commitment before you were actually ready? And what did that teach you? They're ready to make it official. And when they ask, you're going to have to decide whether you're ready to, whether this person is your yes, whether timing is right, even if person is right, whether you're willing to trade freedom of undefined for security of committed. Not eventually, soon. The conversation is coming. Trust yourself with this trust that you'll know your answer when the question actually comes. Trust that you can honor someone's readiness without forcing your own if you're not there yet. Trust that the right commitment with the right person at the right time will feel like relief, not pressure. See you in the next one. And listen, commitment is beautiful when it's mutual, intentional, and built on solid foundation. Make sure all three exist before you say yes. Stay clear, stay honest, stay ready. Someone wants to claim you. Decide if you want to be claimed. Take care.